Lights, camera, action.
And the winner is...
Welcome back to the Oscar Reel Movie Podcast with Haley and Matt Schmidt. We are talking about our next streaming movie for the episode, and this one is currently streaming on Hulu. It's called Big Time Adolescence, and I guess big star in it is Pete Davidson from SNL. What's the dad? Is the guy John Cryer? They're really the only people that I knew. I don't know. Did you know or I recognize anyone else in this movie?
No. One of Pete Davidson's friends looked a lot like the guy from This Is Us, Kevin.
Oh, yeah, he did a little bit.
But it's not him.
That was Machine Gun Kelly.
Oh, okay.
Remember?
Yeah.
I was like, I don't think I ever knew what he looked like.
Yep.
Anyway, so yeah, movie starring Pete Davidson. It's, so he's kind of like this deadbeat, 20-something
Yeah,
kind of guy.
he's in his mid-20s.
Yeah.
He's like the ex-boyfriend of the main character's sister. Right, so like, yeah, that's how they know each other. That's how it opens, right? Like Pete Davidson's like dating this kid's sister.
Yeah. So yeah, his character's name is Zeke, and then the girl's little brother. His name is Monroe. He goes by Mo pretty much the whole movie. And yeah, Mo always kind of like looked up to him as like, oh, like cool kid, like brother figure kind of. And so then the movie skips ahead a few years when Mo's in high school and he's still like hanging out with Zeke all the time and they're like best friends.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah, very much so. Like Pete Davidson, it's the Goodwill Hunting where he picks him up at his house every morning.
Yeah.
And John Cryer, who plays Mo's dad, is like again? He's at our house again? He goes, you don't realize you meet a kid like 4 years ago or whatever, and you don't realize that you would see this guy every day for the rest of your goddamn life.
Yeah. I actually thought that, John Cryer's character, like, as Mo's dad, I thought he was really funny.
No,
what did you think of him?
I thought he was great. I like John Cryer. I didn't love 2.5 Men, but, like, I know he's a funny guy, and he did some, like, teen stuff in the 80s. But I like him. I thought his character was great as, like, that kind of... He's, like, kind of that stereotypical dad. There isn't too much like depth to his character, but he plays that role really well. Yeah,
and I think because like the first time we see him is when like Mo's getting ready to go hang out with Zeke, and he's like, "What are you guys doing?" He's like, "Well, we're gonna eat," and Mom's like, "Well, I already made dinner." He's like, "Oh well." And he's like, then we're gonna watch the game," and John Cryer's like, well, I thought we were going to watch the game. I'm like, ugh, he's like that typical, like, suburban dad. Oh, I just, But he actually surprised me. Like, there were moments where I'm like, I did not expect that. I did not see that coming. So I ended up liking him more in the end than I thought.
No, he's good. Like, at one point, he punches Zeke. Because, this movie is basically... It's short, too, which was kind of nice, like an hour and a half. But a chunk of this movie is Zeke and Mo hanging out, but then Zeke just fucking up, and Mo has to face the consequences of it every time.
Yep.
Including it gets to a point where Mo is dealing Zeke's drugs at high school parties for him, and they're making money on it. And then Mo gets caught. So then naturally, but then he doesn't rat out Zeke because he just doesn't want to do that because he's friends with him. But yeah, John Cryer shows up at Zeke's house and just clocks him.
Yeah.
So that was nice
Mo gets expelled from school and stuff.
Yeah. John Cryer rocking the bald, shaved head.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
I say he must have been filming. He played Lex Luthor in like the Crisis on Infinite Earth on the CW.
Oh, okay.
Like the Flash and Green Arrow, they had a giant crossover, and he played an Lex Luthor is always evil, but he played an extremely evil version of Lex Luthor, so he must have been filming these at the same time because he had a shaved head.
But yeah, another moment from him that I liked that was surprising is one night when Zeke drops Mo off. It's like super late at night, and he goes out there and talks to Zeke like one-on-one. He's like, "Hey, you know what? I actually like you. Like, I think you're a good guy, but like you don't have to hang out with Zeke." And he like tries giving him money and stuff for like driving the kid around and taking, getting food for him and shit. So like that was a moment where I was like, oh, like, and I think that was like the first one where I turned a little bit from, oh, he's just the stereotypical dad that he doesn't want his kid hanging out with the bad kid kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, when he goes out to his car just one, he's like, "Hey, dude, like I actually like you. I'm glad that Mo has, someone he can spend time with." But yeah, at the end, he's like, "Yeah, you got my son into dealing drugs. Yeah. I'm gonna punch you."
Yeah.
And then he tells Mo, he's like, "Don't tell your mother we did this."
Yep. Cause yeah, Mo. What'd you think of Mo's character? What'd you think of? The actor and his character.
I think the actor did a really good job. One thing that's always like drives me nuts about a lot of these like weird like high school story coming of age kind of thing is that so many times the main character is like this nerdy kid, a little wallflower, whatever, but they're still like super outgoing. And I'm just like, this doesn't make any sense to me. I'm like, these are the people that I probably would have hung out with in high school, and we're not that outgoing. Like,
you know that from personal experience.
Yes, exactly. He's just like this like super shy little kid, but yet like the person he has a crush on, he's just like, "Oh my god, like I'm gonna trip over myself like trying to talk to her." I'm like, no, like that's not how that works. So that was something that was just interesting. And then yeah, all of a sudden he's like, yeah, I'm just gonna start going to these high school parties and selling drugs. I'm like, what? Like, I know that doesn't just like happen overnight, but still Zeke is like, "Hey, just like start selling weed at this party."
Yeah.
And he's just like, "Oh yeah, okay." And he's just like, "Hey guys, yeah, I got weed. Yeah, I'm your guy." I'm like, you're not friends with any of these people. Why are you so like talkative with them? Like if he's really trying to be that like kind of loser character, like there are parts of him that don't really match that.
Yeah.
Type, I feel like.
I feel like whenever you do a coming of age like high school story, there's always going to be things that aren't quite right or realistic. At least in this movie, this wasn't the case, but whenever they do a high school party in movies, it's always like over the top.
Oh yeah.
Like craziness. Which
there's like 60 kids in a basement, and the parents are sitting upstairs like, yeah, they're downstairs. Go ahead.
Well, that was what happened in this movie.
Yeah.
And I thought this movie was a little more realistic than some other movies where it's like, they're jumping in the pool or having a pool party and like it's completely over the top. Like this, there wasn't a ton of kids and they were just hanging in the basement.
There was one party though where they like jumped in the pool to get away.
Oh yeah, he did. Yeah, that's where it does get a little over the top. He's running from the cops and jumping from the pool, from the roof into the pool, a little Almost Famous moment there, exactly. I guess. That part, not so much. But the initial party where it's like they're just hanging out in like a kid, like the basement playing beer pong was a little more realistic some other movies. But yeah, that's always, they don't always quite get that right in a high school movie.
I would say the one that I think best fits that, like, this person is acting how you would expect is the movie 8th Grade.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I love that movie so much. I'm just like, I feel like her character is exactly how those type of people actually behave. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah.
Perks of being a wallflower is pretty good too. There's some moments where I'm just like, no, that would never happen. But
yeah, no, that's true. This movie does get some other things right. I think when it comes to coming of age stuff. I remember at one point, Mo makes a big deal of like, "Oh, dude, like we were dancing and like she brushed up against my penis. I'm like, that was a big deal to kids. Like to like in high school or junior high, that was a big deal to us. If you like while dancing or whatever, if you just brushed up against it a little bit, big deal. You definitely brag about that to your friends. So
I was say, yeah, he comes back and they're like, and he's like, yeah, he's like, and we use tongue, and like all of Zeke's friends are all in like their 20s are like, ooh, tongue, huh?
Yeah.
Like, cool kind of thing. But yeah, it's like for him at his age, like he's like, oh, this is a really big deal.
yeah. Machine Gun Kelly, he was pretty funny too.
He was
like,
so funny.
I mean, a lot of people were funny in this, so we'll get to Pete Davidson in a second. But Machine Gun Kelly, he was funny because Mo brings like his high school crush back to Zeke's house where they're partying and stuff, and Nick, who is Machine Gun Kelly's character, brings him aside. He goes, "Dude, that girl is 16."
Yeah.
He's like, "What are you doing?" And Mo looks at him and goes like, "Nick, I'm 16." And his response is like, "Yeah, exactly. Wait, what?" Like,
He has like no concept of how
yeah.
old this kid is.
Yeah, like he was pretty. He had some other funny moments too, but he was pretty good. But yeah, I like Mo and the actor overall. I thought he was pretty good. You're right. There were some stretches there where it's like, okay, you're just gonna start selling weed.
And then he starts selling
And,
real hard drugs.
They kind of just brush it off as like, oh, they're just rich white kids. Like it's easy to sell to them. But like I've never done it. Everyone listening, I've never sold drugs. Not a drug guy. But I can't imagine it's just that easy to bring up and do. But you know, who knows? People love drugs out there, so maybe it is.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, what did you think of Pete Davidson in his acting debut for like a feature film?
I thought he was really good. Like, I mean, his character is not necessarily likable, but at the same time, I feel like a lot of times he has his heart in the right place. He just ends up making bad decisions. Mm-hmm. You know, like he still kind of keeps in touch with Mo's older sister, his ex-girlfriend, and...
Oh yeah, they're sleeping together.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we find that out.
Even though she's dating that very cliche, stereotypical, stuffy boyfriend.
Just gonna say, can we sidetrack for just a second and say, I hate that, like, new boyfriend who's, like, super chill with the ex-boyfriend kind of thing and likes to show off, like, how cool he is. I'm just like, ugh. It's so annoying. But... like, in that interaction that they had, this does actually kind of lead me to, like, one thing I did like about Zeke's character was, like, he still has some feelings for her. It's not just, like, a physical thing. And so, when the new boyfriend's like, oh, yeah, I've really been into art and blah, blah, blah. So he's like, Mo, all right, we gotta go to the art museum. Like, mm-hmm. I gotta find a way to, like, improve myself. I gotta impress her a little bit kind of thing. Yeah. And, you know, it's... he finds out, oh, you can't just, like, buy the art right off the wall.
Yo, I want to buy this. I want to buy this art.
She's like, you can get a poster in the gift shop.
And then he gets it. He comes to the car and he's got a poster in the from the gift shop.
So, you know, so he has moments like that where it's like, and he does. Like, I think he really does care about Mo. But you disagree?
He does, but like, we'll let you keep going. But like, I think he cares about him. But like.
But he doesn't understand, though, at the same time that the things he's doing will affect Mo in a negative way. Like, if Zeke got caught selling drugs, he wouldn't care. And so he doesn't realize, like, hey, if Mo gets caught selling drugs, like, that's actually a big deal. Like, I think that's one thing where it's like he falls short. Mm-hmm. Where, like, the things that are okay with him, like, aren't going to fly with Mo and his family and his situation, whatever.
Mm-hmm. I think I like Pete Davidson in this a lot. I think he's funny. No surprise there, right? He's on SNL. He's a comedian, does stand up. He's really funny in this. I like Mo and Zeke's like their chemistry, the characters, how they like go off on each other, you know, and stuff like that. Their scenes together are hilarious and they're really good. But Zeke's character, you're right. Like he's likable in some moments and then frustrating in others, which is like. Fine, it's good. But he's just always looking for the shortcut in life.
Yes.
Like, oh, the girl I like is into art. I'm just gonna go to an art studio, and just because I go to an art museum once, she's gonna like me if I buy. Like he's just looking for the easy way out, which kind of goes to show, like, also with the drugs, like, he keeps pushing Mo to, like, sell drugs because it's easy money for him. He even quits his job because they're just making money, and he isn't really risking anything. He's just having Mo take on all the risk, which is where I'm like, I know he cares about Mo, but, like, at the same time, like, does he really? Like, maybe
he doesn't realize what could happen.
Yeah, so he's frustrating.
He's not good at planning, I don't think.
No, like, he's lazy, and he's always looking for the easy way out. And I'm glad this movie took a twist where when I saw the trailer for this movie and just watching this movie, I assumed that Zeke would click with him, and he would eventually do the right thing. But he doesn't. So in the end, like, Mo's the one who has to walk away from him. And he sees him at a fast food restaurant working in the drive-thru, and they sit down and talk, and Zeke acts like nothing happened. Yeah. And he thinks he's acting like everything's is just good between them.
We're back to being best friends again, right?
Yeah, and Mo, like, that's when Mo, like, finally realizes, like, okay, well, you're never going to grow up and you're never going to change, so I'm just going to walk away from you. And the final scene of the movie is Mo driving, and in the back windshield, you can see Zeke just standing there, like, as Mo's driving away. I assume as, like, some kind of metaphor of, like, that's it, they're done, just driving away from him. Which I liked. It didn't happen the way I expected it to. Like, Mo doesn't get the girl in the end because he takes Zeke's advice and pisses her off, and he doesn't win her back. He has to change schools after getting expelled, and then, like, Zeke doesn't change. He stays the same, like, shitty, good-hearted, but shitty, like, lazy person that he always is, and Mo realizes he kind of has to stop hanging out with him.
Yeah, no, I mean, that is, I literally have the same note written down that in the end, like, everyone kind of got what they deserved. Like, Mo was stupid for trusting in Zeke's plan that, oh yeah, if you do this, like, you'll get the girl. Like, yeah, she was interested for a bit, but then she's like, you're being a terrible person. Like, I don't want to be with you. Like, that was the right way for that to end. And then you're right, Zeke's just like, hey man, yeah, I'm working at fast food and it's great, life's good, let's hang out. And Mo's like, no, this is not right. Like, so I agree. I think in the end, everyone kind of got what they deserved. Like, Mo lost the girl that he wanted, Zeke lost his best friend. It's probably how it needed to be.
Yep. So this it makes me excited for Pete Davidson's making another movie.
Okay.
I don't know when it's gonna come out because of, you know, everything that's going on in the world right now. But it's a movie that's kind of based on his life because he had a tough time growing up in Staten Island. I think the movie's called, like, King of Staten Island. Okay. So it makes me excited for that because I think he, like, the acting wise, he was really good in this. So I'm excited for that. Let's see, just other moments in this movie. This movie in the first 10 minutes brings up podcasts like 3 or 4 times.
Oh my god, yes.
And then they make a Jose Altuve reference. So I'm just like, all right, this movie's just making some 2019 references like right off the bat. We'll see how that ages.
So funny.
But yeah, were there some funny bits or parts that you liked in this movie? I liked it when, like, Pete Davidson, he was going through the grocery store and he, like, can't read the grocery list.
Well, it's not that he couldn't read it, but they just couldn't find anything. He's like, pea shoots. What the hell are pea shoots? I gotta find pea shoots in the grocery store?
Like,
they're not some, like, little bodega type thing.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, guys, you carry pea shoots here? And they're like, you just mean peas?
Just Google it. Google pea shoots. Come on, man.
Yes, no, that was funny. That was really good.
So this movie's an 84. It premiered at Sundance this past year. It's an 84% critics certified, 83% viewers, and it's a 7.0 on IMDb. What would you rank, or what score would you give Big Time Adolescence?
I'd probably give this like an 8.3. Maybe?
Okay. Maybe.
I feel like I need something to, like, back that up. Like, does that seem right? But yeah, like I said, there were a lot of funny moments. I love coming of age type stories. And yeah, there were some cliche moments in it for sure, but I really like how it ended. So think it's a solid 8 for me.
So it's an 8.3 down to an 8?
No, it's an 8.3, but
Okay.
it's solidly in the 8s.
Okay.
I can't
gotcha.
really decide where I want to put it. So.
Okay. I gave it a 7.5.
Okay.
I thought it was good. Like, that's still a good movie for me. I like Pete Davidson's acting in this and his, like, chemistry with the lead actor, Griffin Gluck. What a name, by the way. Gluck.
It's such an unfortunate name.
Who played Mo. But I thought it dragged in, so even though it's only an hour and a half, I thought it did drag in some parts, and even though there were some parts in the end that I really liked too, there's still some cliches and stuff along the way that I thought were okay, but there's some better coming of age movies out there. But this is still streaming on Hulu for free. It's a Hulu movie, so I would still watch it because I think it's definitely worth the watch. But I'm just giving it a 7.5 because I think there were some parts of it that weren't perfect. I will say I always like it. So this is somewhat of an indie movie. I always like it for whatever reason when a movie is written and directed by the same person.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they have a clear plan and vision in their mind, and if they can direct it, then they can do what they want to do with it. So it was written and directed by Jason Orley. So I appreciate that when movies are written and directed by the same person. So I just wanted to point that out as well.
Cool.
Anything else?
I have nothing else. No.
Okay, yeah. Pretty straightforward. I would still check it out. Like we said on Hulu, Big Time Adolescence, starring Pete Davidson and Griffin Gluck. So yeah, this has been Matt and Haley from the Oscar Reel Movie Podcast.